สดีค่ะขอต้อนรับทุกท่านเข้าสู่การบรรยายในช่วงบ่ายนะคะก็ก่อนอื่นเลยค่ะเตือนก่อนเลยคือกรุณาปิดเสียงโทรศัพท์มือถือนะคะแล้วก็ห้ามถ่ายภาพนะคะถ้าอยากถ่ายตอนที่เราอนุญาตให้ถ่ายที่เกสขึ้นเวทีก็ถ่ายได้เลยนะคะค่ะท่านใดที่ใช้หูฟังนะคะเพราะว่าเซสชันนี้จะเป็นภาษาอังกฤษนะคะก็ไปแลกหูฟังที่ด้านหน้านะคะแล้วก็เปิดเสียงที่ระดับกลางๆหน่อยนะคะอย่าให้รบกวนข้างๆแล้วก็สำหรับแต้ม CPD นะคะถ้าใครสะสมอยู่ก็กรอกฟอร์มแล้วก็ไปใส่กล่องนะคะแล้วก็ท้ายที่สุดถ้าใครมีบัตรจอดรถนะคะก็เราไปประทับตาที่ด้านหน้าได้เช่นกันนะคะ Before we start I would like to remind you to turn off your mobile phone and for any photo wouldn't be allowed and for those of you who use the translating headset please control the volume to the appropriate level and for those of you who need the CPD score please fill in the form and put it in the box before you leaving the room and anyone who come with your car you can ask for the stamp at the front desk as well and I think it's the time to start our afternoon session and I would like to just give a short introduction. Our next speaker is Pei-Zhu, a leading Chinese architect who is Beijing-based practice studio. Pei-Zhu seeks to explore design formed by its context, particularly in urban China. His project reflects an innovative conceptual thinking and a critical outlook through design methods and practical solutions, while reinterpreting the local philosophy and vernacular elements in contemporary urban environments. Studio Pei-Zhu's project includes Sai Gaoqiang Courtyard House renovation in Beijing, Digital Beijing Control Center, Venice Biennale Chinese Pavilion, and the Performance Arts Center in Delhi. Pei-Zhu received his master's degree in architecture both from Tsinghua University and UC Berkeley before setting up Studio Pei-Zhu in 2005, a later named of the 5 greatest architects under 50 by the Huffington Post in 2011. Pei-Zhu has received numerous recognitions, including Courtier Design Award by Wallpaper in 2009, the Design Vanguard Award by the Architecture Record in 2007, and the FA Grant Award and Special Award for Culture Hong Kong in 2008. And I think it is the time now, and please welcome Pei-Zhu.
Sorry. I have similar situation with Toyo Ito probably. I also cannot speak very good English. But unfortunately, I'm not Toyo. I have to speak English, okay? I cannot speak Chinese. But I will try to, hopefully my work can, to talk by themselves. Okay, so my topic is nature-inspired design. Okay, I have to be relaxed. Okay. In the last 8 years, my special interest started to turn to nature-inspired design. This approach not only based on the natural mythology, but most important thing is try to explore the fundamental principles, how human being to learn from nature, to respond to nature, to inspire nature. Almost a lot of people know, right? So both Chinese, the painting Chinese, the poetry, always talking about nature instead of talking about people. But actually they explained the human being's soul. There are a lot, tectonic about the primitive, architecture. For example, like cave nest and light structure, etc. Those things became to the more fundamental for the contemporary architecture today. The early, the living typologies like the nest and the cave. Actually, this is the very primitive the architecture typology. The people stay cave first, and then they learn from nature. They start to build the nest structure. But this became to the very fundamental typology even today for the contemporary building. Nature inspiration is not only for the human beings trait, but also for the very the important for the survival for the old living things, such as even the robbers. Looking at this, they developed the type, the body type, based on reflecting the nature. For example, like this little one is so enclosed, and then the other one is so open because of the nature, because the weather. I think this is became the very universe, the principle, the nature inspiration. If we go back to this map, the map of China, so there are three major the things crossing whole China. For example, the two rivers go east and go west, from west go east. Oh, I really hard to control it. This is the yellow river. This is the Yangtze River. This region is actually Chinese civilization start from, because this is based on the comfortable nature. This is a Great Wall. The most people consider Great Wall is like the defense purpose or boundary of the Chinese country, but actually not. This is not only the boundary of the country. Actually, this is the meeting place is the cold weather, cold airflow from the Siberia to meet South Pacific warm, airflow. Beyond this Great Wall is going to be not a farming type of. They normally it's something else, and then this is a central area. Especially this is two dots. If we go back 3,000 years ago, this region always along this river, it definitely used to be like 100 or 300 the country, but in order to control the resource like this river, and then the reason China became such big also depends on the nature. In 1935, one Chinese geographer, he made research. He drew the one line is crossing from the southwest, goes through the Great Wall. This line actually is also the weather line. The south is kind of warm. The north is very cold. If we think about the primitive living typology like cave or nest, we can find some clue. Beyond this wall is a lot of original architecture typologies dominated by the cave. But along this Great Wall region, they became to the half, the cave and the nest. And then if we go south, it's just totally something, like a nest structure. This is the Song Dynasty famous drawing. It's called the River Life along during the Qingming festival. So the building, the furniture, you know, even the temporary shell, even the bridge, they built pretty much based on the wood structure. So obviously, Chinese traditional architecture inspired from the nest typology. So if we go north, if we go beyond Great Wall, we find out a lot of this cave kind of a building. This is still, you know, people still try to living in this kind of type, you know, house. It's kind of a good response and about very Pacific the weather. This is the one temple. Actually, this temple start almost 2000. This is North Wei dynasty. This building start cave first. And then they start to build another, you know, transparency part. This is a very good example to showing the architecture actually is independent sometimes from the political or the cultural influence. This is Beijing. Beijing is very close to the Great Wall, but this is they have very beautiful the balance between the cave and the nest. So the courtyard is meeting place, and then the surrounding kind of protect the solid in order to they can have, you know, both transparency life and also the enclosed for the living space. This is very typical image. If we continue go south, and then you can see this is Yunnan. If we go Yunnan, it's the most structured, you know, totally based on the very transparency, reflecting the weather. So if, you know, based on this research, we realized the architecture has to be Pacific. You cannot just come out very general or generic solution. The following project I'm going to be, you know, based on this point to explore something, you know, what we believe the fundamental. This project actually is located in Yunnan, Dali. Maybe some people have been there. It's so beautiful. Looking at this city, it almost dominates the nature, you know, the like surrounding the mountain, like, you know, make very, you know, huge loop. Inside have the huge lake, local people call ocean. And then the little town is located in the bottom of the mountain. So this region, because elevation very high, 2,000 meters high. And then the weather, even they located in south, but they still, you know, architecture still reflecting the very Pacific, the weather. The cloud is very, you know, close to the people. The local have very famous, the Chinese performance artists who want to create the performance center for her hometown, which is this region. This is the old town. Our side is kind of maybe 400 meters away from this. This is the mountain. This is the ocean. So this is when we're looking down this plan, you can see it's a small village, beautiful, random is located along this. They call Erhai. So this is another mountain. Actually, this mountain make a beautiful loop, very enclosed this peaceful place. First of all, we are think about this program should be very Pacific, since the performance artists grow up here, and we think about this is we try to catch up the sense of Dali. So the one interesting thing is when I visit, almost everything is based on the kind of very natural the arrangement, this mountain, this cloud, but only one horizon line is the straight. Rest of the line is always You never got any geometry, clear geometry. And then we start to generate the building based on the program and the inspiration of the mythology of this site. We not only providing the theater for the people, we also try to interpret this traditional theater into the more open things, local building. Because of the weather is so comfortable, most people stay outdoor, except winter or night. So people love to walk on the streets, spend the time underneath the sun or under the canopy during the rain. So we add a lot of program, for example, like summer meeting place, plaza, and tea house. So this is the line, is horizontal line. And then in order to control the scale, we want to make the building is low. So we have two lines to control, and then program going to be integrated inside these two lines. Definitely we also think about try to use more primitive thinking, make some the theater is more enclosed, but outdoor space or activity performance also can happen outside of theater. And then we come out, we're going to mix those two, the typology together. So this is what we try to create the two lines. One is roof, and then one is landscape, and then those two going to have interesting interaction and the tension between. This is the theater. Sometimes they can enclose, sometimes it can open. Even the daytime, we also try to bring the natural light, concentrate the roof. It's not a typical theater like this. It has to be dark inside. Sometimes its nature became to the very interesting, the thinking in my mind. For example, Chinese poetry always talking about, okay, during the rain, and then you heard the sound. You also saw the wind passing through, and then you feel the, natural environment. Like this morning, actually this is a totally cave space, right? So dark, but during the rain, it's very interesting. I heard a noise, make me more comfortable. It's not, you're nervous. Outside what's going on, even this is darker place. So this idea, we make effort to open this cave space, skylight, huge door can open here. We also make the one drop, which is like people can easily to go the roof to see the beyond mountain, since surrounding building, this is almost same height with the historical building. We can looking down the ocean, look up the mountain. So this is our concept. Definitely this mountain really dominate. So this is our set plan. The program, the artist is really engaged with us since we have very good communication in terms how we develop the architecture and his show together. So we inspired each other. After I proposed initial concept, we work with her, and then actually our show start here, and then follow, flow into the inside of the theater, and then the last show actually end with this center plaza. So when people walk, you can standing on the hill, the more like amphitheater underneath the roof. You have the shading, you protect from the rain, but also this is where the natural setting show is more the people to be outside. So definitely we have the modern program like cafe, like ticketing, and also when you have the cafe, you can looking down the rehearsal. But most of the program we push down to the hill, is underneath the base. We also create the few tree house to let people go up and down use the elevator or stair. People can have the different perspective when they work, you know, when they work on the show. So this is our plan. The inside this theater, we also try to bring the natural landscape into the seating area. So the overall show, you're really hard to see the boundary. For example, this door can totally open, people can join, you know, this is became the center of the design. So this is one situation when you need a very enclosed space. And then you also have the outdoor amphitheater. People can sit, also can climbing on the roof. Also, people can stay inside this tree house. Definitely can, you know, doing whatever you want. Play the movie, you also can make the show at the same time. So we can, you know, we also can share the space together. So in general, this is not only the purely theater, but we try to create somehow it's an interaction place. This architecture is really try to catch up the nature of the local, the beautiful weather, beautiful mountain, ocean, to providing the intimate space like this tree house, you know, little hill to make very casual, interesting theater. Material as well. We inspire from the local. Local had a lot. You know, they have a lot of forest, so we can make very light this roof, so people can see the kind of a transparency, more like nest. Even the bird can coming through the, you know, this point, and then people back and forth during the night. That's going to be big. The promotion for the old town. Currently, most people only stay in the old town small bar or street, but we can bring the life between the old town and the ocean. So this is, we go, even the, you know, the geometry and the program is kind of a contemporary, but it's show and the building material, we go to very localized idea. So we just started construction a few months ago. So start to soil test and then. So this is one, but this is like the current work, you know. But if we go back, this is 2008. We made almost is my earliest building in China, which is like competition for the control center Olympic. Definitely we have a lot of, you know, thinking and research, but one idea we try to make some simple solution rather than very complicated or perfect, precise building. Our building approach is going to very rough, very straightforward, and extremely minimalism. But the surrounding, probably you can see, surrounding building is big landmark like bird nest and the swimming pool. When they almost finish, we just start work on our design. So our strategy is going to use the kind of a translucent material, the natural stone curtain wall. When this building facing the west, we use kind of a solid. The program inside this part is going to be internet center. This is a meaning for the machine. And then when the facing east, the Olympic Park, we make kind of, you know, very transparent. So very simple, very fast track, this design. Maybe perspective. Oh, actually, I'm not sure our image is right. So this is our earliest work. almost same time, we work on another project, which is courtyard house renovation located in center of the historical town. Not too far is the Forbidden City, maybe only like 500 meters away. This is used to be a traditional neighborhood. That's the current Hutong situation. This is like what I said, courtyard house is one of a wonderful typology for the Beijing people to live. It's not only based on the hierarchy, the Confucianism culture, but also the really good to catch up the character of the climate. For example, the Beijing is summer roughly hot, winter is kind of cold. So people is generate through the courtyard, and then they can transform the building easily into the transparent and opaque. So the most of building is very enclosed. The three sides is use solid wall. The roof is also solid as well against the sun or protect from the wind during the winter. But the courtyard is very good. They kind of open. Even the winter, most people can still have the sunshine, stay in the corridor. So this is kind of a typical Beijing Chinese courtyard house. They have two major courtyard, the three building. And then when we try to make this concept work, we tear down the one temporary building built during the earthquake in 1970. Which is very temporary building. And then we make huge effort to protect, to preserve the rest of the building. This is the courtyard existing condition. And then even the columns, they use brick, since this is a temporary shell. So, and then we followed the scale, exactly follow the scale. And then we created almost same in terms the building, the form, right? This is a kind of a box. And then we also making that box. In order we have interesting communication to transform this very enclosed building into the transparency. And then we have some sliding the screen. Sometimes they can open, they can enclose. This is during the, this is during the daytime. Nighttime they're going to be enclosed. The Beijing is very polluted. A lot of time they have sandstorm. In order to protect during the night, this building going to become the cave, and then they can transform to the nest. The second building, we almost no touch anything. We just refurnishing the window based on the existing building. We think about we can create this space really two-dimensional. It's not three-dimensional. It's like a black-white Chinese painting. You can tell only the few window frame is dark. Rest is totally white background. This is a third building. We gave it to more layer and more three-dimensional. We tear down the ceiling to exposure some wood structure, and then we also create another layer of the space. So this is like a living room or more like a meeting room for the artist. And then he have the little small semi-privacy room behind this screen. So we start to bring the light into the courtyard house. But in Chinese tradition, especially for the courtyard house, never have the skylight. But most of the space is really dark. And then we bring the some light, but we keep the existing wall gradually transform from the brick, in different brick, and then into the concrete. When I was a little boy, I spent almost like 12 years in the courtyard house. A lot of fun things. You have so many space when we play, during the courtyard. But winter is definitely really cold because the most of the Chinese traditional building, they not try to make very precisely, mentally. So it's really hard to find out some the high quality building in terms of construction. They can make, for example, like Chinese jade or a lot of antique is really precise. But I believe this is one of the Chinese philosophy. They always consider architecture is not permanent. They try to, make the building temporary. Even inside the Forbidden City, this is for the emperor's building. When you close the door, the big mass can running inside. So if we compare the Western architecture, that's totally different, right? Even the medieval or Renaissance times building is so precisely done. So that's also one of the difference. It's not only the Chinese, the building used the wood to make structure, but also they consider the architecture is temporary. This is the reason you saw a lot of village or a lot of the Chinese traditional building is kind of rough. It's not very clean, not very precise. They always ignore, some detail. Like this wall, you can see this wall make tell the very interesting story. This is the boundary of the courtyard house. You can see here used to be window. The red brick is after in 1949. Before then, no red brick. And then the city wall brick. Some people maybe stolen the city during the Republic. They start to build this wall. So you can, through this texture of the material, you can reading the story to showing how this courtyard house was transformed into today's time. That's actually this is our finished. We convinced the artist Cai Guoqiang. We said, okay, we're not going to repaint everything. We keep the existing condition as much as we can. So just even this wall we rebuild, but we use almost 90% as existing material. We just rebuilt this wall. This wall almost falling apart. Like this bench, like this corridor, we still remain the existing condition. But we not just let this material go worse anymore. So during the night, you're going to have the sense about Beijing courtyard house. And then you can think about Chinese poetry. It's so beautiful moon, right? The moonlight, people eating here, the drinking here, talking here. When I was a little kid, most of one beautiful moment is dinner time. So normally we eat dinner summertime around 5 to 6, still have the sun, but the whole family just stay in the courtyard, and then we eating the food inside this courtyard. So like this situation. This is really the beautiful moment to reflecting the landscape, sky, the natural material, scale, everything. You feel very intimate. This is a kind of the Chinese solution. Similar time, that's 3 projects we work on the same time. Now the big project, not big, compared to the courtyard house is big. This project is also located east side of the Forbidden City. The Cai Guoqiang courtyard house somewhere here. And then we work on those 2 projects together. So this is the east gate of a Forbidden City. Definitely right now we work on other renovation is the museum, the project is here. This existing building, this is a renovation project. This existing building built in 1970, like government institution building, is kind of enclosed, solid. It's very generic. The layout, the concrete were, rough. Very dark, since in order to have maximized the area, they build really deep office. Most part is dark. It's no natural light. And then the idea is first idea concept. We try to transform this building into the courtyard, the typology. This building is very big, and then we start to cutting some solid piece, concrete slab out in order to we can give this intimate scale. So this dimension, even this courtyard dimension, is based on the surrounding courtyard, the size. Definitely we made it vertically. So I think the successful of this design is we did very good job to make this building is no longer cave anymore. It start to turn to the nest, the transparency. So probably you can see so many courtyard we cut. This used to be totally solid. We cut 1, 2, 3, 4, like 10 more courtyard. Almost each room, when you walk in, you pass through one courtyard, or at the front of you is one courtyard. And then this building became to the kind of intimate. It's translucent, the clean minimum facade is reflecting the Huchong single wall, but a lot of things happen inside this wall. The material, we also make effort to explore some interesting, the translucent, but during the construction, this material cannot match to our experimental process. But inside this building, start to see poetic, the special feeling the people walk through. You see the bamboo. Sometimes bamboo is going to be turned to, they're going to move around. The skylight, actually, this courtyard bring the star into looks like a star following into the inside the courtyard. You feel the very, very natural, the sense. So next project is we're facing a big challenge. This is my first project outside of China, but I don't know, since I less know local culture. This project is located in Abu Dhabi. I think during the 2006, they are also like China 2008, before 2000, very crazy, a lot of construction going on. They try to convert this Sayadi Island into the biennial park. They try to copy Venice biennial. So this is a master plan did by the SOM, and this is like a biennial park. They cutting through the artificial canals through here, and then the major museum they gave it to the different architect, Fungari, the Jean Nouvel, Zaha, Tato Ando, Foster, etc. And then they also invite some architects to doing the pavilion. How this project to articulate with the local. So things I less know local culture, really hard. But when I have been the job side, I just feel the weather is so special. It's extremely hot in summer, and the winter kind of cold. The local town they connect all the building together, especially roof. They crossing people can share the roof. They can passing by on the roof. I think that's mainly for the winter activity. But summer people go into really small valley. They call the valley, right? So it's very small, providing the shading for the people. I think this is also very primitive, the typology. So our building is definitely try to reflect some. So we left our building up to minimize the foot on the ground, providing a lot of shading in terms like a lot of artwork, right? It's the program is going to happen underneath this building, the winter on the roof. So the program is very simple. It's going to be very typical, general. The pavilion for the biennial is for the contemporary art, but sometimes they ask us to also providing some commercial use. So this is the side. We turn to our building somehow facing the canal. The very simple plan, the most facility is during the underneath the inside the basement, the ground level, very small, roughly transparent, and then major space on the level 2, and also roof. So this is the canal. A lot of people can climbing on underneath the shading. And then winter definitely is on the roof. So this is it's an ongoing project. I'm not sure when they can restart because the financial crisis. Similar idea, I also make some experimental, transform this idea into the another design museum. It's really small museum, surrounding by the huge commercial development. China have a lot of interesting situation or secrets. Developer get really good property, and then they have to invite some cultural building. So this is the field building. I don't know, they call it cultural club, this the rich mayor. And then they want to create another, the 2 building. One is museum, which is, did some museum. This is more like, if we compare those 2 images, after realize this is we use very bold, clean, the clean geometry, and then inside like cave is very smooth, no boundary. You feel this the contrast. This is a kind of a clear limit, and then this is a infinity. So this experience is make very interesting transformation, like people feel the new experience about the design museum. This is the ground level, the minter level section, the material. So this is a construction site. During the construction, the metal, we use single curving to achieve the double curving surface. It's, the most people know it's Chinese contractor always make worse the quality, right? So we cannot compare to not like Toyo Ito, so lucky. He has a strong expertise to support, and like Germany, Europe. But China is always fast speed. And then the construction, like you can see the construction site like this, so dirty, so messy. And then, but the building looks okay, right? So we are, make huge effort to work with a manufacturer to help them to develop some system things they don't know. And then we made kind of exactly what they want, except this part, okay. Our client dividing the design very clearly. Initially, okay, your architects work on the form. Okay, your landscape designer, you work on the landscape. Your interior designer, you work on interior design. That's the normally their thinking. They consider your different design expertise. But I insist, but eventually I got interior design. but I have to sacrifice. They ask me, choose. Okay, you only can choose one. Which one you choose? And then I have to choose the interior. So this landscape done by some American architect, landscape architect. So they try to create so many things, you know, and then you feel this totally detach each other. So a lot of work. My past experience is really like mixed together, good things, bad things. This is a construction side. Definitely this design, in general, we also inspired by the James Hurras, his installation, things I'm fascinated by his work. I feel so peaceful, so infinity, the boundaryless, the mystery. It's sort of a Chinese thinking, you know. When you're talking about big, you have to use small. And when you're talking about people, you have to talking about nature. So you never straight talk to the something. So this space providing interesting potential challenge for the curator. The one curator called Peter Noah, he worked on a beautiful proposal for this museum. He just based on this very special, clean, smooth space, no shadow space, create an interesting art, art show with industrial design show. So definitely this is nothing here. It's more like in the universe. Only one people here like ghost. Sometimes scare. Okay, this is we realized this building is, I remember it's 2011, something like that. And then in 2010, we also have the chance to work on the Venice Biennial. This design, we also inspired by the Chinese poetry. Is Tang Dynasty have very popular well-known poetry talking about the wind, how wind to make flower down, during the fall down to the earth, the spring, how wind can bring the new air to life flower open. But when the wind passing the water, they make huge wave. When they passing the bamboo, they make a beautiful post and noisy, not noisy, it's sound. So I think, a lot of Chinese garden and the poetry, including Chinese painting, always based on the approach. So they always to talking about nature. If we think about Chinese painting called the mountain and the water, right? But actually it's not talking about the Pacific mountain and the water. But Chinese poetry, almost 90% is not talking about the people, talking about the nature. But this installation, we also try to make some contemporary interpretation. For example, this is a bamboo. We create very based on the human's being body scale. If you walk through here, you almost crash with this rod. So if you're fat, you must make noise. So the people have to push when you walk. Sometimes, and then this bamboo going to make a very interesting the sound during the night. The lighting also based on the people's breath. You can see the night, from the highway or from the light to the dark. Definitely, surrounding building is like really rough. Like summer very hot in Venice, but our installation like peaceful eyes or fog, you feel very light, very pure, and then people feel kind of the natural, the the environment, and then you feel even the installation itself feel very cold. You can feel the smile. You can feel the sound. You can feel that they're always to along. During the wind, they can make very interesting the movement. Okay, this we go to another performance art. That's also same performance artist. She also worked with government in Xishuangbanna. Xishuangbanna is actually just across the boundary from Thailand. Is far southwest of China. So this is a really tropical situation. So this 3 image actually is the concept and the inspiration. The nature of the landscape, nature of the local people. Definitely also the Matisse dancer is also, like us to think about how we can make structure. So this is a local landscape. This one tree can become 2 million of the tree. Probably maybe most people have more knowledge than me. So this tree growing up, and then they go down, and then they growing up. Like these people, always to tie together. And then that's the inspiration. But definitely, I'm not sure that can be realized. But after I saw Toyo Ito's work, I feel confident. Okay, the Tai Chung can be realized. Why we not try it? At least this is currently we have some progress about material. We found out one manufacturer, they produce very interesting, the special wood, artificial wood, which is they recycling the bamboo, and then they reform again. Very durable, very cheap, very industrial, very system. So we start to work with them. And this manufacturer even talked to our structural engineer. They said that without steel, they can use their special wood, close to lemon wood, but it's not lemon. And then they can realize this structure. But this is a performance art. But most of the program is going to be happen on the outdoor. The front have the river, a lot of festival. Local people have the water festival. People going to running, pour the water underneath this canopy. But this summer is like here, it's kind of hot. And then we try to providing right now is use more solid roof, protect with the sun. And then we also create another layer to gradually, like light, gradually getting dark. Or people, when you work from the dark space, gradually from, you have to transparent the time and the space. So this is the typical, the theater, since this program is talking, the show is talking about the local, the festival, and then a lot of people, a lot of activity going to underneath this part. Right, 3 performance center working for the one artist, performance art. This is we just start. That's my ideal, the architecture typology, right? It's a cave and the nest. Even today, if we use this principle to evaluate contemporary architecture, this is still a very good solution. For example, cave can providing really interesting dark, enclosed space in the warm in the winter, hot, the cooling in the summer. This is reversed. Based on this idea, right now we are, just a few weeks ago, I just started, but this I'm not confident yet. So, but we develop some system. Actually, this system I inspired by the Ai Weiwei, one Chinese artist. His bicycle installation is very interesting. How we can transform the structure into the be part of our the material. So this is exactly what we have the big ambition since we have less the property, but this is also our property too. So we are, I don't know if that's maybe too crazy. I try to cut inside, cave, became to the auditorium part, and then that's public part on the front. We are going to try, but I'm not sure. But that's only our first step to see how the building is really physically integrate with the existing the nature condition. This is also I did the last winter. I was invited to by the Tibet government to design one experience that they call the Tibet medicine experience place or hotel. So this is like a local building. This the Tibet is average is 2,000 meters high. The most of the building is really intense and solid, much heavier compared to Beijing courtyard house. But they were enclosed, but when they facing the courtyard, they kind of the transparency. So this is alley. This is a local building material. The beautiful color and the light. Our design is more like an infill project, since we just finished a conceptual design. So the typology is very enclosed, the courtyard typology. And then with some the roof terrace, you can see that this location is so great inside the city. If you're standing on the roof, you can see the palace here, the mountain beyond, the cloud, just the cloud, where attached, you can touch the cloud. So this is, we create a lot of the transition alley, courtyard, and then into the room. So the form of the design is roughly simple and minimum approach, but the material we go kind of a local, rough landscape, the wood. It's kind of. I work on a lot of projects, but less chance to realize. So another one is ongoing on one. So sometimes I work on 5 projects together. And also same phase, like conceptual phase. So this is also, I work on early this year. I was invited to design they call the Cultural Conference Center. I think this is a very unique place. Look at this nature, the mountain. This valley is beautiful. This is the start point. I saw a lot of buildings, they start to, very random, so arranged beautifully, with the nature. The building is kind of just a box, really simple, but like this. So that's the initial sketch, since we have the huge road, the infrastructure passing through here. This is more like a natural terrace, and then this is a terrace down to the valley. So our building is roughly the bigger, and then gradual scale getting smaller. And also this building is insert into the cliff in this mountain, and then we're providing some paths to connect each building. So this beautiful landscape. But this project is so fast, I cannot catch up the speed. When we work on the schematic, we just finish our schematic, and then they start to making the soil test. They want to construction. They have to finish one they have to want to finish one piece, maybe early for next year, but we feel scared, sometimes. So we go very simple solution. This one is actually competition, but we lost. I shouldn't try for the Soho because they invited me many times, but I said, okay, things they like sculpture building and always have the competition. But after I was convinced by them, and then I providing totally different idea. This is called the nest of sky. So we bring the things they call Soho, right? The Soho means they created some very interesting office between the residential and the office. And then we're going to develop this concept, bring a lot of terrace, the landscape up. But we are on the, when I was traveling in Paris, I got really good news. The CEO called me, you win the competition, but you need to make some change. And then eventually, I'm lost this project. This maybe is, I almost finished my, overtime or I know? I already over the time, right? That's right spot means. Okay, I just a quick go through. This is another one I'm currently working on the Beijing suburbia building. We also bring the some nature into the world massive. Since our property is really intense, almost the property line very small, but we need to build a huge amount of the area. So we just think about bring some nature life into the urban blocks. That's maybe the solution in the urban type of the building. This is very close to the construction, this huge cultural building in the China. This is 130,000 square meters for the museum, theater, library, cultural center, and the urban exhibition hall, the movie, the cinema, everything, almost everything. And then we create one roof loop to connect three the efficient building together, also tie up with the theater. And then we left up this roof along the Yangtze River. They also need a lot of shading. They can survive during the summer. So this is an overall concept is they want to become to the urban center, the cultural center. We create the one theater, also this is a 1,200 seat. And then we also create one plaza exactly like Dali's design. We can open the door, this door can open, we can, people can watch, both sides. So that's maybe last image. So basically showing what, where I am. So right before I come to here, we just finished this, or, the construction documentation review. So this is maybe very close to build the project. So I better to end over here. Thank you, everybody. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. It is very inspiring lecture, and I think. And now I would like to invite Kun Chatpong Chunradimon as our moderator for the session. And can I have the light on, because my moderator, he said, any questions, stand up, the microphone will go with you and you can ask the question straight away. That's what he wants to do.
Please have a seat. Relax. We'll have a... Relax. Yeah, relax. You have 16 minutes left, so we can talk a long time.
16 minutes.
Okay. You didn't have to worry. You gave a great lecture. Your language was beautiful as well as your slides.
Hopefully.
Well, for me, what I thought was interesting personally was I'm always looking for threads, things that tie an architect's projects together, and I'm fascinated by the image of the nest and the cave in many of your projects. And I think it's wonderful that each project you're doing, there's a speculation or learning more about the cave and the nest, especially how it feels like an interior, but how the exterior reveals a type of cave, which actually is an interior condition, right? And I just, especially the projects you did with the artists, just very powerful. And can you talk about how, maybe in specific projects, what you learned in terms of cave and nest as an ongoing research for you?
The cave and nest definitely is most primitive living typology. I just feel the contemporary architecture too much influenced by the like a political or social or even cultural religion, the things. We always try to catch up the something in terms of the image. But actually, people is the people. Doesn't matter you're Chinese, you're Thai, you're American, or European. But I think that's the human being. Actually, this too pragmatic, the typology, doesn't matter where locate. If we go back like 5,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago, actually people, no communication, no cultural exchange, right? But you can find those two, the fundamental, the typology almost in anywhere. So actually this design, this typology is not created by the people, created by nature. I feel this is more fundamental. This is more fundamental than something else. You know, after we have the technology, after the people getting smart, more cultivated in terms of the civilization, actually we have more pressure. Our thinking is too complicated. Make our building is too nervous and it's not straightforward. So when I work on the courtyard house, I very straightforward talk to the artist. Actually, we need back to the very pragmatic way. But the building definitely is contemporary. We make very clear definition. Even the material, we not try to use local material. So make a kind of you know, the thinking actually is really pragmatic. Even before the civilization, before the technology, before the architectural history. But actually they can produce very interesting contemporary solution. So I believe that's going to be, definitely it's a cave nest, it's only the one of the things. Nature has so many things, right? Like what I said, we can transform the one poetry into the architecture or into the installation. We also can transform the, you know, like sound, wind, ventilation. We can minimize the technology's impact. So I think that's maybe also fit the future, the architecture direction, even if they're old.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting because it leads me to the next question. I think you're one of a few great Chinese architects. Your generation is basically being well known as the first truly global Chinese architect generation. And I think it's interesting for us as foreigners to look at you, and last year we had Hua Li, and even one half of So Il is Chinese. Do you talk to each other as contemporaries? Do you talk about do you discuss about the direction of Chinese architecture and the problems that you face, and how you want to see architecture in China, and how what your role is? Is there a discussion that goes on between the contemporaries?
You ask me tell truth?
Yes, of course. We all want to know
We
the
always
truth.
eating together, but we're talking about most of the things, not architecture, actually.
That's good, which is good.
But sometimes, for example, in last month, just 3 weeks ago, I was invited by not Huali, it's a similar generation. Since he teaches in the studio in Tsinghua, he asked me to critique. So, and then I found out that actually we have a lot of topics can be talk. It's not a secrecy your life, your marriage or divorce, etc. Right? We have a lot of things we can talk, but when we meet together, but we less seriously. But through the conversation, you know what he's thinking.
What was he thinking?
Well, you know, most of the people definitely. I think most our generation is a lot of people. You know, I think our generation have the bigger responsibility compared to our previous generation because the war is so transparent, right? China open to the war. Right. And then we feel the one way we approach our contemporary future. But at the same time, everybody also worry about, okay, where we are. You know, what is our route? Sometimes maybe too much nervous. And then probably you saw for our generation, even the design is not very consistently. Sometimes they go, okay, they're influenced by blah, 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 who, okay. Sometimes it's go very vernacular approach, and then sometimes go to, I don't know. But people always to try, but I just feel, I always try to compare the Chinese architects with Japanese architects. Actually, we better have the dialogue. Yeah. So I just feel that we can learn a lot of things from Japanese architects since they kind of focus on the contemporary way. But they no longer to worry about, okay, my architecture if not looks like Chinese or Japanese. They actually get into another level.
Like an essence of
what
it is.
Yes, so actually...
Without labeling it Japanese, right?
So what is the soul or what is fundamental for the architecture? So we're struggling. Our generation, including me, is struggling a lot. So I think that's the...
But it's fun to see you struggle.
Yeah, but I'm not tell you. I'm hiding some story maybe. I don't know. Probably I work on in China is almost a little bit like 10 years, right? But how many buildings I built? Actually, not much.
Right.
So that's the problem for us.
Right. Well, I think it's valuable for us because we were talking last night that you and I are kind of similar in the paths that we took, and Thai architects and professionals and students would learn a lot from you just by the conversation, because we have the same doubts as well, and we appreciate Japanese architecture just exactly for the reason you said. And I think it's interesting because we're all kind of searching ourselves together, the whole continent. Great. Well, now I think we're going to do something different. I think it's more interesting if we have people from the audience ask you directly rather than writing down on paper. So I'm going to ask, who would like to ask a question? Especially in the front row. I know there'll be lots of good questions. No? Come on. Okay. Okay, yes, okay.
Okay, I don't want for you to feel like Thai is shy. I'm not shy. Okay. How you get invited? I think the younger generation here, we have a lot of young Thai, very good, talented, in-depth, but we never get invited.
To do what?
How you get invited.
I don't know, actually.
You have to know, Shu. You have to tell us like how, like from this project. Okay, I saw the one from walking from the Beijing things. I saw that, and I don't know it's you, but I said it must be someone when you see the design, when you see the bamboo things. But they don't let us in. And from that, and then I saw that thing too, the high-tech building next to the bubble. The one, the IT things, and there's a language of
digital
digital buildings, right?
Okay.
From that too, it rise you up, isn't it? Is it from that too that is really
I'm
built?
still in the button. I'm not raising up. I'm struggling. Okay, I don't know.
No. From what you do, I mean, it's not built it yet, but it will be built. Okay, it will be, and your name was there. Your project is in Art Daily, in Design Boom, and everything. But how you get the real invitation? Like you are side by side with Richard Meyer. Don't tell me that you don't know why they select you. You next to Richard Meyer, okay?
But I invited her. I invited him. Sorry. Oh. Actually, this question is really hard to answer since I never conscious about why a lot of people invited me, but actually I participate a lot of interesting like those kind of a meeting, give a lecture in the university. Maybe I think the one is I kind of the focused person. I'm not trying to doing so many things. I focus on my work, on the practice. During the last 10 years, I never teaching, but only this semester, I only take the one semester teaching. So I really enjoy my work, especially practice. I feel that's be part of my life because maybe I'm, interesting about architecture and then architecture interesting me. So I think that's maybe the answer.
Great. Any questions? I have one. Oh, yes, there's a question right there. Can we give him a microphone?
Thank you. My name is Luca. I'm from Italy. I want to thank you for this lecture. It's very interesting, I think, for all of us. My question is very easy because I worked in China, in Shanghai, for a couple of years, a little bit more, and I found it very hard and challenging at the same time. Of course, I'm a foreigner, so your Chinese must be very different for you. But I would like to know, how do you find the motivation to work in such competitive and fast architectural environments? I was listening to Mr. Ito's ideas concerning that, about that project. It got a lot of problems with contractors and authorities, and same thing happens in China. That was in Taiwan, actually, so not so far. How do you find the motivation when this kind of problems get through your process? Because the ideas are very easy and simple, the nest and the cave, and it's very nice to bring that into actually concrete architecture, but a lot of barriers. And in the middle, what's your source of motivation? Thank you.
My motivation, because I have no choice since I less knowledge about something else. I don't have the capability to work anything else. But in the beginning, I feel when I start with my college, work on the China project, since we spent a lot of time in the USA. When we come back, I feel, especially when I first trip to Shenzhen, I almost feel I made the wrong decision because you don't know what you're going to do, since in your future you know nothing, and then you don't have money in your pocket, and then you don't have job. So, but my experience tell me just be patient, okay? You just don't worry, and the people easy to to live. So you don't need to spend too much money. As long as you have the patience, your focus, you have confidence, and then we just join the competition one by one. I just won the competition right after I come back from USA. I won the 3 competitions on the row. And then only 6 months, we totally change or maybe we meet some good place, like Shenzhen is so open, no people. And then they need some energy. And then we just come to here to show what we can do. We work extremely hard during the just first couple of years. And then you start to gradually, a lot of people, you're not looking for the job, especially like I'm not marketing myself. So I just rely on my cellular phone or office phone. Almost every week we have, or every day have the client contact us, you want to do this, you want to do this. So I think the interesting beginning or motivation is I consider architecture is art, since my dream is to be the art life. So that's the motivation maybe. Yeah. Hopefully tomorrow we still can have a job.
I'm sure you will. Many more coming in.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Yes, right here in front.
Okay, I've seen many of your slides that you try to start your projects with drawings or paintings. Is it how you approach the project always, or is it depends on the performing arts centers or what the kind of art projects that you are working on? What if you have to work on other type of projects?
Things I didn't get a chance to show, I have a lot of cultural museum project, but most of it is a recent project. I start to thinking the beginning of my design always things I need traveling, and like myself is most of my design is when I stay alone. So things you don't have the technology, and then I have only rely on the pen and the sketchbook. So I use ink normally but sometimes I also like use paper and clay by myself. But definitely we have a really good team. So once I have some idea, and then doesn't matter where I are, I just send out a lot of people help me to develop some into the more like physical study model and the computer. So that's the design process. Yeah.
Great. Any more questions? No? Well, I'll do one. Would you like a question? Yes.
Well, thank you for an exciting lecture. And in fact, today we see like lots of great slides and very exciting works. So today we see you as an architect, or a very talented one at that. But we also know that you're a teacher, right? Or have been for many years. And so there are so many students in this room. I know because there are quite a few of my students. So I'm wondering, as a teacher, what would you like to say to the young generation? Well, perhaps in just a short message to them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Work harder.
I only can tell my experience, okay? If I have a lot of lessons. Actually, if I can relive, definitely I become too more smart. I think pay attention or learn more from the past. And also you have some objection in the future. Actually, the past can providing a lot of creative solution. Definitely it's not architecture. Maybe you have to allow your knowledge to cross over or more broad, like, so you have to traveling, you have to know more, you have to know a lot of knowledge, to know the history, culture, and art, etc. So I think in general is don't allow yourself to too much professional or technique in terms of thinking. You have to have your dream. And then you find out the previous, the good work, and then you're traveling to see, you have to study. So at least I have a few interesting, the previous architect's work. I keep explore, in the last 20 years, I keep traveling, to look at it. Definitely also I have a lot of artists friends that also to inspire each other. I think that's also very important too.
Yeah, I understand you work a lot with artists,
Yeah.
and what my interest lies in what is the role of art in architecture for your work, because it seems like it has quite a bit of influence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I never consider architecture is just architecture. Actually, architecture is one, is one of the art. So I think the vision can be crossed over. For example, when I teach in the studio, I also think about what's the artist's work and the architecture in terms of the fundamental difference. But sometimes it's clear, sometimes it won't. Actually, sometimes they merge together. So we can to learn, inspired by outside of architecture thing.
Great. Any other questions?
Yes. Curious to know about I saw a lot of picture. It's kind of really unique. It's some pictures so traditional Chinese, and some of them are really modern and very contemporary. So just curious to know about the configuration of your thought. I mean, what happened with you? Is that because of you're Chinese and like build yourself in the traditional world and then jump into the contemporary, and those two worlds collide with each other? I don't know, just try to see what is dialogue here. What is these two dialogue coming together?
Maybe you point out also one of my struggling. But I never to let myself to always think about what is Chinese architecture. I try to not to try to answer this question. But I would like to make my design is more Pacific in terms of the dialogue with the nature and the Pacific side, especially for the physical nature, like weather, climate, and the light, the structure, material, etc. Maybe sometimes you feel, okay, some architecture is the Chinese because maybe that side is have very strong the natural dominate the character, and then I start to apply for more local material. But sometimes maybe the site is not, maybe it's in the metropolitan, and then my design going to be more the contemporary. But I never consider, okay, my design is Chinese or contemporary. Basically, everything is contemporary based on my understanding. And at least I try to go this way.
I think that's all the time we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I actually really enjoyed.
And thank you both of you, Pei-Zhu and Ajahn Chatpong Chunridimon. And now I would like to invite Kun Pichai Wongwaisayawan, the new president of Association of Siamese Architects, to present Pei-Zhu a token of appreciation. Ajahn Chatpong, can it... Right, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us for the session. The next one is starting at 3 p.m. Enjoy your coffee break providing outside. Thank you. สวัสดีค่ะขอต้อนรับทุกท่านเข้าสู่การบรรยายในช่วงบ่ายนะคะก็ก่อนอื่นเลยค่ะเตือนก่อนเลยคือกรุณาปิดเสียงโทรศัพท์มือถือนะคะแล้วก็ห้ามถ่ายภาพนะคะถ้าอยากถ่ายตอนที่เราอนุญาตให้ถ่ายที่เกสขึ้นเวทีก็ถ่ายได้เลยนะคะค่ะท่านใดที่ใช้หูฟังนะคะเพราะว่าเซสชันนี้จะเป็นภาษาอังกฤษนะคะก็ไปแลกหูฟังที่ด้านหน้านะคะแล้วก็เปิดเสียงที่ระดับกลางๆหน่อยนะคะอย่าให้รบกวนข้างๆแล้วก็สำหรับแต้ม CPD นะคะถ้าใครสะสมอยู่ก็กรอกฟอร์มแล้วก็ไปใส่กล่องนะคะแล้วก็ท้ายที่สุดถ้าใครมีบัตรจอดรถนะคะก็เอาไปประทับตาที่ด้านหน้าได้เช่นกันนะคะ Before we start I would like to remind you to turn off your mobile phone and for any photo wouldn't be allowed. And for those of you who use the translating headset, please control the volume to the appropriate level. And for those of you who need the CPD score, please fill in the form and put it in the box before you leaving the room. And anyone who comes with your car, you can ask for the stamp at the front desk as well. And I think it's the time to start our afternoon session, and I would like to just give a short introduction. Our next speaker is Pei-Zhu, a leading Chinese architect who is Beijing-based practice studio. Pei-Zhu seeks to explore design formed by its context, particularly in urban China. His project reflects an innovative conceptual thinking and a critical outlook through design methods and practical solutions, while reinterpreting the local philosophy and vernacular elements in contemporary urban environments. Studio Pei-Zhu's project includes Sai Gao-Chiang Courtyard House renovation in Beijing, Digital Beijing Control Center, Venice Biennale Chinese Pavilion, and the Performance Arts Center in Delhi. Pei-Zhu received his master's degree in architecture both from Tsinghua University and UC Berkeley before setting up Studio Pei-Zhu in 2005, a later name of the 5 greatest architects under 50 by the Huffington Post in 2011. Pei-Zhu has received numerous recognitions, including Coursier Design Award by Wallpaper in 2009, the Design Vanguard Award by the Architecture Record in 2007, and the FA Grant Award and Special Award for Culture Hong Kong in 2008. And I think it is the time now, and please welcome Pei-Zhu.
Sorry. I have similar situation with Toyo Ito probably. I also cannot speak very good English. But unfortunately, I'm not Toyo. I have to speak English, okay? I cannot speak Chinese. But I will try because this is based on the comfortable nature. This is a Great Wall. The most people consider Great Wall is like the defense purpose or boundary of the Chinese country, but actually not. This is not only the boundary of the country. Actually, this is the meeting place is the cold weather, cold airflow from the Siberia to meet South Pacific warm, airflow. Beyond this Great Wall is going to be not a farming type of. It's something else. And then this is a central area, especially, this is 2 dots. If we go back 3,000 years ago, this region always along this river, it definitely used to be like 100 or 300 the country, but in order to control the resource like this river, and then the reason China became such big also depends on the nature. In 1935, one Chinese geographer, he made research. He drew the one line is crossing from the southwest, goes through the Great Wall. This line actually is also the weather line. The south is kind of warm. The north is very cold. If we think about the primitive living typology like cave or nest, we can find some clue. Beyond this wall is a lot of original architecture typologies dominated by the cave. But along this Great Wall region, they became to the half, the cave and the nest. And then if we go south, it's just totally something, like a nest structure. This is the Song Dynasty famous drawing. It's called the River Life along during the Qingming festival. So the building, the furniture, even the temporary shell, even the bridge, they built pretty much based on the wood structure. So obviously, Chinese traditional architecture inspired from the nest typology. So if we go north, if we go beyond Great Wall, we find out a lot of this cave kind of a building. This is still, people still try to living in this kind of type, house. It's kind of a good response and about very Pacific the weather. This is the one temple. Actually, this temple start almost 2000. This is North Wei dynasty. This building start cave first. And then they start to build another, transparency part. This is a very good example to showing the architecture actually is independent sometimes from the political or the cultural influence. This is Beijing. Beijing is very close to the Great Wall, but this is they have very beautiful the balance between the cave and the nest. So the courtyard is meeting place, and then the surrounding kind of protect the solid in order to they can have both transparency life and also the enclosed for the living space. This is very typical image. If we continue go south, and then you can see this is Yunnan. If we go Yunnan, it's the most structured, totally based on very transparent, reflecting the weather. So, if, based on this research, we realized the architecture has to be Pacific. You cannot just come out very general or generic solution. The following project I'm going to be, based on this point, to explore something, what we believe the fundamental. This project actually is located in Yunnan, Dali. Maybe some people have been there. It's so beautiful. Looking at this city, it almost dominates the nature, the like surrounding the mountain, like, make a very, huge loop. Inside have the huge lake, local people call ocean. And then the little town is located in the bottom of the mountain. So this region, because elevation very high, 2,000 meters high. And then the weather, even they located in south, but they still, architecture still reflecting the very Pacific, the weather. The cloud is very, close to the people. The local have very famous, the Chinese performance artists who want to create the performance center for her hometown, which is this region. This is the old town. Our side is kind of maybe 400 meters away from this. This is the mountain, this is the ocean. So this is, when we're looking down this plan, you can see it's a small village, beautiful, random is located along this, they call Erhai. So this is another mountain. Actually, this mountain make a beautiful loops, very enclosed this peaceful place. The first of all, we are think about this program should be very Pacific, since the performance artists grow up here. And we think about this is we try to catch up the sense of Dali. So the one to hopefully my work can to talk by themselves. Okay, so my topic is nature-inspired design. Okay, I have to be relaxed. Okay. In the last 8 years, my special interest start to turn to nature-inspired design. This approach not only based on the natural mythology, but most important thing is try to explore the fundamental principles, how human beings to learn from nature, to respond to nature, to inspire nature. Almost a lot of people know, right? So the China, both Chinese, the painting Chinese, the poetry, always talking about nature instead of talking about people. But actually, they explained the human being's song. There are a lot, tectonic about the primitive, architecture. For example, like cave nest and light structure, etc. Those things became to the more fundamental for the contemporary architecture today. The early, the living typologies like the nest and the cave. Actually, this is the very primitive the architecture typology. The people stay cave first, and then they learn from nature. They start to build the nest structure. But this become to the very fundamental typology even today for the contemporary building. Nature inspiration is not only for the human being's trade, but also for the very the important for the survival for the old living things, such as even the robots. Looking at this, they developed their the type, the body type, based on reflecting the nature. For example, like this little one is so enclosed, and then the other one is so open because of the nature, because the weather. I think this is became the very universe, the principle, the nature inspiration. If we go back to this map, the map of China, so there are three major the things crossing whole China. For example, the two rivers go east and go west, from west go east. Oh, I really hard to control it. This is the Yellow River. This is the Yangtze River. This region is actually Chinese civilization start from. Interesting thing is when I visit, almost everything is based on the kind of very natural the arrangement. This mountain, this cloud, but only one horizon line is the straight. Rest of the line is always you never got any geometry, clear geometry. And then we start to generate the building based on the program and the inspiration of the mythology of this site. We not only providing the theater for the people, we also try to interpret this traditional theater into the more open things, local building. Because of the weather is so comfortable, most people stay outdoor, except winter or night. So people love to walk on the streets, spend the time underneath the sun or under the canopy during the rain. So we add a lot of program. For example, like summer meeting place, plaza, and tea house. So this is the line, is horizon line. And then in order to control the scale, we want to make the building is low. So we have two lines to control, and then program going to be integrated inside this two line. Definitely we also think about try to use more primitive the thinking, make some the theater is more enclosed, but outdoor space or activity performance also can happen outside of theater. And then we come out, we're going to mix those two, the typology together. So this is what we try to create the two lines. One is roof, and then one is landscape, and then those two going to have interesting interaction and the tension between. This is the theater. Sometimes they can enclose, sometimes they can open. Even the daytime, we also try to bring the natural light, concentrate the roof. It's not a typical theater like this. It has to be dark inside. Sometimes its nature became to the very interesting the thinking in my mind. For example, Chinese poetry always talking about, okay, during the rain, and then you heard the sound. You also saw the wind passing through, and then you feel the, natural environment. Like this morning, actually this is a totally cave space, right? So dark, but during the rain, it's very interesting. I heard a noise, make me more comfortable. It's not, you're nervous. Outside what's going on, even this is a darker place. So this idea, we make effort to open this cave space, skylight, a huge door can open here. We also make the one drop, which is like people can easily to go the roof,